So yeah, it was probably like 2015. I want to say it was probably like August too. But yeah, so how I got into veganism was I'd seen like the film like Faces of Death when I was younger, and that like kind of had like the pre like screening, and I want to say like schooling, like Disney movies, all that like sort of nonsense that you get kind of fed when you're a kid and stuff, like animals are your friends and like this is nice and dandy. I really like nature, so like the whole like environment thing, and I started hearing through people that like one of my friends like cousins was a vegan, my one friend her boyfriend was a vegan, so like I was like thinking in my head like first it's like kind of like, oh, that's a joke, like, and I'm like, oh, like these soy boys are walking around this kind of stuff, and they'd be telling me like, oh no, they've been doing it for a year, they say they feel the healthiest, the best they've ever felt. And so like I was looking up like vegan bodybuilding, and I was like finding, vegan athletes that look like they're huge and shit. And I'm like, oh, like if these guys can do it, like there's something I'm missing, right? Like what is it that's to this? And then I'm like looking up like, how you have to eat like all these grains, and you gotta take like a B12 supplement, and it's lots of like legumes and beans. And I'm like, oh, okay, like there's probably some merit behind this. Once I got into that, that's where that's where you're fucked, because you start looking into it, and all you find is, if you're looking into veganism, you find that it's the best thing for your health. You're not going to see anything that's going to tell you veganism's detrimental for your health. They only feed you one side of the argument. So you start seeing that, and my hugest thing was like the environment. Like not so much like I care about like the animals' rights. I'm kind of for that too, but it's more so like I love nature. I love like forests and shit, and like I see firsthand. Like I remember being a kid, and I could walk 10 minutes down my street, and there was a literal forest that I could go like run around in. And now it's like I have to drive 20 minutes to get to a forest to go try to just reconnect with nature. So when you're looking into veganism, and it's telling you like everything's being depopulated, everything's like, the cow farts are destroying the planet, you're like, oh no, this is horrible. And I've always been anti-establishment as well. So like while I was like getting into all this, it started like kind of feeding into me. I was like, oh, this makes sense. You have the meat companies, you have the dairy companies, they all want to sell you shit. Like I'm like at some point in our evolution, this all became corporate. Like it's just a company, and then of course they're gonna tell you like, oh, milk is good for you, meat is good for you, like eat more of it, like milk gives you strong bones or whatever, like the all that crap, but all the milk's processed anyway, so it's still shit. And I was like, I was, kind of connecting the dots in my head, like, oh yeah, this makes sense. And what I remember from schooling, right, is what they teach you in health class is that greens are good for you. Eat more vegetables. I remember it was like seventh grade science where like the teacher was telling us they don't know what causes heart disease, but that eating lots of eggs and bacon is surely going to cause heart disease. And like there's no like reasoning like, oh, like why does it do it? It's just that's what was in my head, like, yeah, like eggs and bacon, like, oh, like indulgence is not good for you, and broccoli and spinach is what's going to make you live long and healthy lives. So I slowly got more and more indoctrinated into veganism, being sold into the environmental aspect, the health aspect. And one day I was like, all right, like let's give it a try. Let's see like what happens. And it's really funny, like the shit that like I'll do, because like the first day I did it, I was like, hey, I feel okay, like yeah, it's going all right. And I was having a lot of like indigestion like the first week, and I was like reading a lot of people saying, oh yeah, like you have to like adjust to it. But I mean, like I started having like bloody diarrhea, and it's funny too because at the time, and this really isn't like at the time, I guess it wasn't veganism's fault. I just started it, but my buddy had came over, and because I was just taking raw black beans and I would just boil them. They were like organic. I'd boil them and then eat them, and he was telling me I had to soak them. And I'm like, why? I'm like, I'm cooking them or whatever. And he's like, no, there's like, there's toxins in the beans. And I didn't know none of this shit. They just everywhere I looked for like veganism, they tell you that like beans, legumes are healthy.
Mm.
So like, yeah, I was like shitting blood for a week, and I just remember looking it up and like seeing that like those are toxic. As soon as I stopped doing that, yeah, the bloody shits went away. And then I was like, oh, like that wasn't smart, you know? And I continued on, and I was I didn't have problems. I felt fine. I probably had a placebo of feeling good, like going to veganism. And the diet I had before veganism was a typical like what is recommended as a healthy diet, where I was eating a lot of white meat, like a lot of chicken breasts. Um, I would eat fish like maybe like once a week. I was eating red meat maybe once a week. Like I was like, oh, like keep the red fatty meats low. I was eating all sorts of like spinach, broccoli. I would eat like berries, fruits. I ate a lot of vegetables. I would eat just whole grains like brown rice, like plain oats. I wouldn't get like breads and stuff. I was like the healthy American diet. And I switched over to veganism, and I wasn't feeling any worse or anything. So I was like, okay, like maybe they're on to something. It worked for a while, like I don't know if it was just the placebo of like doing it and like saying like, hey, I'm not dying, I don't feel like shit. Like it's almost kind of like I don't know if I'd say like an adventure or a quest, because it's like you're doing something out of the norm when you become like a vegan. And so when I'm doing it, I had like everyone around me, all my friends, like kind of, they would joke and stuff. Like my dad be like, like, what are you fucking idiot? Like humans evolve off of meat. You need meat to live. And all the vegan propaganda I read was like, I was like, oh no, I'm gonna prove you wrong. Like I'm 3 months in, I feel fucking great. Like you're all gonna rue the day. Like I'll be the one to show you like this is the way to do it.
Hmm.
And so like I think I kind of had like that thing going where I was like, I wanted it to work. Where like I'm gonna keep trying to push it, keep going for it.
What health issues did you slowly experience?
Yeah. So for the health issues that I experienced, even like I said, for the first like probably like 3 months, it was everything was good too. And then there would be sprouts where I don't remember the first time like I said, I was doing this all together for probably like 2 years, maybe like 4 months or something. I don't remember the first time it happened, but like because I'd be like working out too while doing this, because I wanted to be like, look, you can be like healthy and active being vegan. And the first things that go, it's like my right knee will get issues, my left shoulder will get issues, and then like it's like I'm doing range of motion kind of shit with it. But then I'm like, oh, it's got to be diet related, So I was I would like try to switch the diet up. Sometimes I get slight digestive stuff, and I'd be always reading vegan stuff, and it'd say like, you know, uh, don't eat as much flax seeds. At first I was eating flax seeds, so then I was like, oh, like they say more chia seeds, the more omega threes, it's more anti-inflammatory. They would say that like switching like from the beans to lentils would give you like less digestive stuff. So I would start eating like more lentils. Sometimes I would do like more high carb, and sometimes I'd do like the more high fat, where I'd eat like more walnuts and stuff. And like so like I don't know, every time it would be like if I was like kind of feeling weird, it was never like there's something wrong with the diet. It's like, oh, I just gotta optimize the diet. Like here we'll eat some more chia seeds, and then like a week of that I'd be like, no, that's not it. So obviously the high fat wasn't like doing it. So we'll just go back to what we'll add like more rice. We'll cut down the fat. We'll up the carbs. Maybe that's what was wrong. Like more blueberries, antioxidants are gonna do it. And like eventually, like whatever problems would just sort themselves out. Maybe I'd fix it. Like there was a time where I would start. I always took B12 supplements, vitamin D supplements, the DHA supplements or whatever. And there was even a time where I was like, oh, maybe I just need to start taking like a zinc supplement, and then maybe it's also an iron supplement's gonna help. And the two times I started taking those for the when my like knee and my shoulder were bothering me, like I didn't really feel like they were doing anything. I think it's horrible, like where I've done like really hard like laborious jobs being a vegan, and like it just sucked, and like those jobs suck in general. But like the worst part isn't even like what you have to worry about, like like getting through the day like doing concrete. It's like you're in a room with like three other dudes, like you're all busting your ass off, and like it's the most embarrassing thing where it's like I have like all this gas in me, and it's just like it's not like, I like for a while I was just like, oh, this is the norm, and I was like, oh, like they're not gonna care. It's you're doing shit work anyways. But like once I had switched over, it's just like night and day where it's like I don't have to worry about like you're already walking around carrying shit. You're like bracing your core. You kind of have like your tents there, but like once you have gas and you're not like trying to like fucking blow a room up all day, like it's just like added pressure, and you're like, I don't know. I don't know like the type of shit like I was like pushing myself to do where it's just like, oh, the justifications like I'm a vegan. I was doing a job. I was moving concrete. We were moving drywall up and down stairs all day, and at the time I didn't know like I was the digestive stuff just got horrible, like stomach cramps all day. Like at one time I thought maybe I had a hernia from the job, but I was like if I had a hernia I wouldn't be able to work. Like but I'd be coming home after work, and I'd lay on the floor for an hour. I'd be doing like the cat and cow like yoga pose. I'd try like breathing stuff. I'd massage my stomach for literally like 2 hours after like a day of work. And it was the weirdest thing because at work it wouldn't be like extremely bad, but as soon as work would be done, like it would just hit me. And when I would try to go to sleep, I would just feel it. And I was like, I finally realized I was like, these aren't like abdominal cramps, as in like, like my muscles, like the abdominal wall isn't like you're retaining too much pressure or something. I'm like, this is like my stomach. This is the digestive tract. And I'd stumble across like your videos. I was watching, the epitome of veganism, and I seen a lot of people saying they had similar things to what I was having, and it was just cured by meat. And I just started it's just the weirdest thing. I was watching your videos, I was watching Milk Jar's videos, I was looking into the whole, anti-vegan like stuff on YouTube, and you won't get it from like being a vegan, like when you're a vegan, even when that information comes to you, it comes to you in the way of look at this crazy dude, like he's eating raw meat, and like all the vegans chime in, so you're just hearing like 1,000 of the same voices tell you the same thing, and it just keeps granting you like the yeah, you are right, like you're saving the animals, you're doing the right thing. And once you see the other side of the argument, you go like I just when I seen you like the first time as a vegan, I remember like thinking like this guy's gonna like he's gonna get a disease, like. And then when I looked into it, I was like, he's been doing this for how long? And like, there's all these other people doing this, and like, they're not sick, they're not dying. You look at the vegans, and like, they're all sick and dying. Like, and I was like, how is this not just like? I was like, wow. So, I remember laying in my bed. I had to convince myself, like the one night, like miserable, like dreading work the next day and stuff, that like like maybe I can just try like eating meat. I can do an experiment. I can eat meat for a week, and if it doesn't work, like if my digestive's still going on, I'm like I won't blame myself. Like I didn't do anything bad because it was just an experiment, and I will just have proved that like meat wouldn't have saved me, and I can just go back to being vegan, and like it'll all be okay. Like I had to like justify in my head the eating of meat, and it was just the most fucked up thing. And the next day I went in, I bought meat after work. I bought like a ribeye, I bought some ground beef, I bought some ground lamb. And the second day, like there was no digestive issues at work. There was there was no sleeping problems. I had even before the digestion, I had like insomnia issues that would like come and go. I haven't had any of those like since I've quit veganism. It's just so fucking crazy. I don't even want to say I had depression, but there's like my friends and stuff tell me I seem like I'm more sociable around them. They say like I'm more outgoing. I've had people tell me I'm just like more confident in the way that like I talk to them and stuff. And like I just always was like, oh no, like I've always just been like kind of a secluded or like shy person. And it's just crazy when you start looking into these things. You look into like the gut and psychiatry syndrome diet and how it's all related, like your gut health, your mental health. And I would just, I mean, even when I was vegan, I'd be doing like kind of harder jobs, but when I would come home, I'd just be like, oh, like that. like I worked all day, like I'm just tired and stuff, but like I'm doing the same stuff now, and like I can come home, like, and then I can work out, and then like I'll go do music, and like it's like the day is not like me dreading it now. It's just me going, okay, what can I do next? What can I do next? What can I do next? I feel more focused. I'm more like on point. And I'm like, it's almost like a drug or something. And I'm like, that's probably what happens, when your brain's not getting certain chemicals and nutrients.
Hmm.
It's just crazy.
Did you have any cavities or any teeth problems?
Oh yeah, that's another funny one. For the most part, no. Like I had a lot when I was younger. Like I said before I started veganism, I was doing like a good diet. But I mean, when I was like a kid, I used to eat like candy and pop, so I had a lot of cavities when I was younger. But right before I started eating meat, like, and this didn't even like equate into like the situation. This tooth right here, it's like fixed now or whatever. But I literally like bit into an apple and my tooth just broke in half. Like,
Hmm.
I don't know if I could say like, oh yeah, it's the veganism thing, but like it's like one of those things where it's like looking back, it's like that doesn't naturally happen, like
Yeah, I've heard this quite a lot of times now.
that cost me so far. It's cost me because it's supposed to be a root canal, except like I don't have the money to pay for a fucking root canal, so I had to pay like $200 just for them to put like a filling in those. And then it's going to cost me more money in the future. And this is just mercury that's like leaking into my system now, which is,
That's bad, but root canals are really bad for you. You should look into
yeah.
them. It's gonna be even worse.
Yeah, it's definitely like I've heard like stuff about it. I need to research it because I don't know what like I'm supposed to do because I had when I had my wisdom teeth pulled, I had a similar situation when they pulled one of my fucking wisdom teeth. They broke a different one of my teeth in half, and then they lied to me about it and said it was like a filling. And when I went back to my original dentist, they're like, "No, your tooth's broken in half," and they're like, "You're gonna have to get this one pulled." And immediately it became like infected, like because it was broken to where like like it was already in like the gums or whatever. And so like it was just like unbearable pain and I had to have that pulled. So like I don't know if it's just better to have like this tooth pulled now because I'm just worried that like if I don't get the root canal, it's gonna like it's at more risk of being like infected, I guess. And I would eat like tofu, tempeh, the legumes, beans, and I would like always like I would mix it. So like I would have like a dish of like lentils, and then I'd mix rice in there, and I probably had eaten like beans in the morning. So like I was always trying to have like everything every day. Like I would eat blueberries, I would eat all sorts of fruits, I would eat spinach, I'd cook broccoli, chia seeds, flax seeds, walnuts, pecans. I'd eat oats. I'd eat like it was just like I would be like the whole food, plant-based diet. I would stay away from like the vegan like junk food shit, and
Right,
it's
right.
just shit.
How do you see the future of veganism?
How it started, because like I think it's like the Ventus stuff from what I've heard or whatever. The one lady was like a religious freak, and she started it that way. But whenever I look into shit, I always look at the money trail. Like if you're talking like conspiracies and shit, like and the thing is like it might have started off with the lady being a religious freak and like trying to push it and like that's one thing. But like what it is right now, it's not that, there's all these corporations going after it. There's so much money to be made making grains, making all this shit, pushing it on people. They don't want like I actually have the co-op I go to like they'll like send me like stuff like from the farmers that they like go to like saying like they're like there's like politicians like pushing like laws and shit trying to shut them down and it's like they don't want you to get like food this way. They want you to buy food from them, from a laboratory made, and these kids have like bought into it. Like they're so okay with it, and there's so much other shit that these kids that they don't even care. Like they literally want to be like mainstreamed into the matrix. They want to be hooked up to computers. They don't want to live like humans. They just want everything artificial, synthetically made, everything made for them, delivered to them, like through computer screens. Like, and it's a joke, like when I went to school, like even though I hated like indoctrinating, like we read the books that were like talking about this shit, and like it seemed like everyone in my generation was like on board for like the 1984. They're like programming us, they're feeding us, like they're treating us like cattle. But kids these days, it seems like you tell them that, and they're like that's a good thing. Like I actually had a guy that was, when I told him I buy from like the organic farms and stuff, tell me that it's more risky what I'm doing because I can't trust the farmer because it's not sold through a supermarket. And when you buy it through like a supermarket, like it goes through like the FDA and it's regulated and stuff. And I was like, dude, like what we've lost, like you can't like everything's got to be like, you got to have someone else that tells you it's okay to do it now. Like what the fuck? I'd say it's a scary thing. It scares me because where I was at with veganism, when I was a vegan, I never really pushed it. Like none of my friends were vegan. I didn't know a single vegan in real life. And I was like, so I was the only one. And I never was like I go with friends to restaurants and shit. I didn't care, like I don't I'm not one of those people. I don't care what people like believe in God and shit. Like just don't push it on me, man. Like everyone has their own shit. Like as long as you're not like trying to hurt me, I don't care. But like that's the problem you see with any vegan is they want to eliminate meat. And so like my greatest fear is like maybe my kids or my kids' kids, are going to grow up in a future where they don't even know that meat is meat. Like they aren't even going to know what like cows were eating. Everything's going to be changed to where it's like it's just something that was made in a lab. Like, and they're going to know yeah, like that's where we get our food from is from like the Walmart Supercenter where they made the Walmart makes the meat. And they're like, what do you mean they make it? And they're like, they grow it. I want to say like the movement. I don't. It's like I'm divided on it because it's like they don't last. If you look at it, it's what does veganism have going for it? Half the people just leave. The issue is you have like actual like people of authoritative like value pushing it, and it scares me a little bit. It does.
Do you regret going vegan, or how do you see it now?
Yeah, like no, actually I don't. Like the thing is like one of my favorite quotes is like life's too short for regrets. So like in a sense I want to be like, yeah, I regret it, but like at the same time it's just a learning tool, like it's another thing where it's like I did this and I thought like I could trust certain things and it's like it just opened my mind. You can't have some dude telling you like, look at this study, it's backed by a scientist, look at this, like the World Health Organization says this, and you realize like it's all bullshit. People like think like, once you get like a name added to you like scientist or like doctor or like mechanic or like any type of job field that you're like more experienced in some way or form, but they don't realize these are all just people. Like we're all just people. And it's just like just as you're like going to work, like doing whatever you do and you like make a mistake and you like fuck something up and it might just be minute, like you left your wallet at home, like you don't think like that scientist like can make a mistake and like as he's doing like a calculation, this is like saying like the shit isn't even like already funded or like biased or whatever, but like they just think like these like beings of intelligence are like God, like they can do no wrong. Like your mechanic can't like fuck your car up because he's a mechanic, right? Like it's like he's the most operated to fuck your car up. He knows everything that's going on with it if he wanted to, and even if he didn't want to, like like I've been around people in like fields and shit, like the negligence is still there. People in professional like like job environments, like they don't care. Like they don't care about what they're doing half the time.
Anything else you would like to add? Any experience during the time?
I pretty much like felt depressed and the way that when I was doing it, I didn't feel depressed, but like after I quit doing it, like it was just like a mood uplift. It's just like being like more clear or something. I don't know.
Right. Basically, you don't notice how you are as a vegan until you quit.
Yeah,
Right.
you feel like, you're fine and you're doing it because you're not, it's not something where you're like, you're on your deathbed or anything.
Hmm.
And, like I try not to like be like a bitch in life, like I see like people crying about shit all the time. So you just kind of like, oh yeah, like life is what it is. But it's one of those things where it's just like you don't realize like how good life is until it like actually happens. So
Right.
yeah, I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank Milkjar. I'd like to thank all the people that like do this movement and shit. Anyone who's like has been like against veganism, who has done it, who pushes against it, who spreads information against it. Because it's crazy. Like when I just talk to normal people, no one is on board with this. People who aren't even vegan, the same people who like knocked me for going vegan when I like tell them that like saturated fat is like essential for humans or like you need cholesterol and like the animal fats, I tell them like how better I feel and stuff. They just tell me, like, no, you're crazy. That's what causes cancer. Like, why do you think like humans are so unhealthy nowadays? And it's like they don't even get it. Like they'd all rather go drink like Dr. Peppers, Mountain Dews, drink they think fluoride's good for you. They love vaccines, and it's like I was talking to my one buddy yesterday, and we got to the point where it's like, the whole world is like going down where they don't care. And like I was telling him, there's nothing you can do for these people, like they're gonna get what's coming to them. And he was like, yeah, but like he feels bad that all these people are dying. And I'm like, at a point, what can you do? You tell them like this shit's like you're shooting toxins into your body, and they're just like, no, the FDA says it's safe and effective.
Right.
So
All right, man. Yeah, thanks for sharing.
yeah.